Hey everybody, it's the middle of the week and I thought I'd do a short video just to give you guys, let you guys see what I picked up at the Garden State Comic Fest and show you some of the books that I got signed. They in the Chinese New Year, this is the year of the dragon. Well, the Garden State Comic Fest, it was the con of the hawk for me. Now, this was not intentional, but I ended up getting a bunch of Hawkman comics signed by different artists. One of the first ones I had signed was Chris Batista, and I got 3 of his Hawkmans signed. The ones I got was, let me see here, I got that one. We got this one, and then I got this one. So Chris was very nice, and I enjoy talking to him every single time I see him at a con, specifically the Jersey State Con. I always spend time talking to him. He's a big Legion fan, so if you ever take a Legion book up to him, he's always going to have a lot to say, and he's very enthusiastic about it. He showed me some of his turnarounds for his passion project that he's working on, and he also gave me a sneak peek on a job that he's going to be doing in the future. I cannot say what it is, but oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, when you guys see it, you guys are going to be so excited. So keep an eye on him, follow him on Facebook and all of his social media for when he makes that announcement. You guys are going to flip your lid, trust me. Another book, which when Ethan first said he's going to be at the Garden State Comic Fest, one of the first ones I pulled out of my collection to have him sign was this one here. This was the only issue of Hawkman that he did. It was an issue where Kendra gets kidnapped by who she thought was an ally. I initially had to have him sign it because I liked that run. Rags Morales still did that run, but he didn't do every single issue. Of course, they have to give him breaks. Ethan did one of those books, and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, he did an issue. I've had that one signed for a while, but that book I wanted to make certain. I was actually one of the very first books I pulled to have signed at the Garden State Comic Fest because just to have that book signed and in my collection was really important to me. This one wasn't really on my radar until Andy Smith was talking about how this was one of his very first jobs after CrossGen ended. So he was showing this one off. So that immediately I went rifling through my collection to pull it. And what I did was, if you watch that episode of The Professionals, and there he shows that page, he was talking about how he had the image of the silhouette of the guy giving the girl the business in the one window in the background. Well, they put word bubbles over where that would be, but I asked Andy, I said, can you do me a favor? I said, can you do me a favor? Can you put in an art correction? So he was very nice. He corrected it. So it's back in my copy of Hawkman. It's got the art correction in it. So now let's put it this way. For right now, this is a one of a kind. I'm sure moving forward, there might be many people asking Andy to do the art correction in their copy. When I started, and this was all organic when I was pulling books, and all of a sudden I started to realize I had multiple artists to sign issues of Hawkman. So normally every single year when I see Jan Durasma, I always have her sign 3 or 4 Star Wars books, and then I'll put in like 1 or 2 other books that she's worked on, so it's not all Star Wars. So when I realized what I was doing, what was occurring here, I pulled this one, or I looked through the books, through my Hawkmans, and I ended up pulling this one for her to sign. This was when DC was going through you remember when Image really made it big, and Rob Liefeld was doing a bunch of books with a bunch of characters, and DC felt they needed to compete, so they kind of had this storyline, Bloodlines, as a means to that ran through all their annuals to introduce new characters that were created because of this alien species. And every single one of the characters had a image feel. It had a Wildstorm slash Extreme Comics feel to the characters. So I got this one out for to have signed. The funny thing is, DC went all through that with all their annuals. Marvel did the same thing with every single annual. Introduced a brand new character, and it came with a trading card, so the book was polybagged. But it's funny how with both what Marvel and DC did, none of those characters stuck around. One or two of them stuck around for a little bit. I think one or two of them. I think Anima and Gunfire, I think they both got their own, and Hitman also. They got their own series for a little while after those annuals came out, but almost none of those characters really saw the light of day afterwards. They were never really utilized. But I was looked at the issues that Jan did. That's the one that kind of stood out. Plus, also, I have other Bloodline annuals signed. So once you get one or two of those annuals signed, I kind of go, oh, well, I've got one or two signed. Let's see if we can get more of them signed. Same thing goes, like, so for instance, with the Tangent Universe. When DC came out with that line, I was one of those like, oh, well, I've got one or two of those signed. So like last year, Jan Durasma and John Ostrander, they did the Night Force. And so I had her sign the 2 issues of the Night Force she did, because I've had others signed. So again, that way I've got, like, I'll try to get as many as possible signed, just for my own enjoyment. Then, of course, her husband, Tom Mandrake, he also did an issue. This was a fill-in for Graham Nolan when he was doing Hawkman. So I had Tom Mandrake, he did the interiors, and because Graham did the cover, and I thought, that's another thing I do like to do, is I like to get, when I have the opportunity to get more than one artist or creator on a book to sign it, I always try to. So this is neat because I have Tom Mandrake with his interiors, Graham Nolan with his cover. So that's another one of my Hawkmans. In this case was Hawk World. And then, of course, had Graham sign another Hawk World. And this one here, the reason why I had him sign it, had him sign this one specifically, is because I was a fan of the Justice League during this period of time. So this has like a prelude. It includes the Justice League, so I wanted to make certain this one was chosen to be signed among others. And then lastly, the one I had Graham also sign was this Hawk World, and I'd had Tim Truman sign this quite a few years ago. Back in 2016, I had him sign it. So Tim Truman has signed it, and Graham has signed it. The reason why I picked this one for Graham to sign is because Graham is, he wants to make certain when he is drawing, he references highly. So I made certain, because I knew that he has the eye for detail, and he made certain that sorry about that, guys. He really made certain that the MAC-10 or the Mini Uzi was well drawn, so it looked exactly the way it should. And then she had the Magnum Python, and then, of course, all the various weapons that they had. Like, okay, give him all over. So, but no, this was definitely the con of the Hawk. I enjoyed having all of these signs, so that way my collection of signed books has a big boost now of Hawk books signed. I enjoy meeting these artists, and you have the opportunity. You can buy a book that's signed or in line. For me personally, whether it's crowdfunding or if it's from your own collection, I really do enjoy showing the artist the book that you want them to sign. When I saw Billy Tucci, I put down one of his latest she's that he did this last year. It was between, I probably got it, gosh, I can't remember. It was after Baltimore, because I didn't have it, because he hadn't shipped it out yet. So I had that book. So, and I said to him, I got the email from Debbie, but I didn't request to have it signed because I want you to sign it in front of me. And he goes, that's the way you want it to be done. So he enjoyed it. So that was the mainly thing that I got. You can see, if you go into my Twitter or into Facebook, you'll see where I got my Star Wars books that were signed. You can see the books that my G.I. Joes that I got signed. And again, it was when I went up to Keith Williams, I had recently discovered just the last few months that he had done one issue of G.I. Joe. He'd inked it. And so I showed it to him. And just before before I even opened it up for him to look at, he was already like, yeah, the big wave and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, yeah. So he knew exactly which issue of G.I. Joe it was that he did. It stuck. It was a memorable experience that it stuck with him. So that's why I personally love having these guys sign the stuff. So you have the book that you're having them sign. You're picking out that book for a specific reason. There's a reason why you enjoy that book over the other stuff that they did, and then they relay, if they had a positive experience, or sometimes when they have a bad experience, they relay their experience doing that book to you, and it adds that emotional layer to your book. So whenever you look at it in the future, you'll have that experience, and the book no longer just represents a book that you like, but that experience in interacting with the creator. Now I'm going to show you the goodies I got while I was there. Okay, got this here. Scott Koblish. He did this. What he did was on his Facebook, he created a series of cartoons that he was posting, and he had it turned into a book. It's called The Many Deaths of Scott Koblish. This is a very entertaining book. It's in many ways, it's like a Gary Larson book or a Calvin and Hobbes book. You don't need to start from the beginning to get to the end to understand it. They're just one-page jokes, and it's very entertaining. You don't have to start at the beginning. You just open it up at whatever page you want, and you're going to get an entertaining cartoon. So right there, you have a nice entertaining cartoon, and you don't have to, and it doesn't, the next page is a completely different cartoon. So it was happening. The funny thing with this one was I'd met Scott probably about 2 years ago at Baltimore, and I was very excited to see him, and he had the book, so I bought it. But I was so excited to see him that after I put my books away that I had him signed, I walked off. And it wasn't until I got home that I realized that I had left the book behind and I didn't get it. So when I went back the next day, I saw that he was there, but there was another artist who always had Chris Pacello. He had long lines the entire weekend. So I was like, I gotta suck it up. So I got in line, waited a long time. By the time I got done, I went jetted over to where Scott was. He'd already left. So I was like, oh man, damn it. Well, I told him the story when I saw him at Garden State. He remembered that incident. So he was like, grab it. And his wife said, I started this talking, like we started an intro, and she goes, no, she interrupted me. She goes like, put that book in your book bag. Put it away now. So I got it. It was 2 years later, but I got my book. So Jim Ballant, he had his sketchbook, him and his wife, Holly G, do. And what it was is that he had a very long line. He was doing sketches, and with signing books. His signatures were free, but they did ask that you buy something from the table. So this was our 2023 sketchbook, and I do like getting these. I can't show you anything in this book because it's all naughty, but very good book. I enjoy it. I won't be able to show it ever other than looking at it. And then, okay, so I hadn't realized that Mark Polton was there. I went around, I was just meandering around, went around the corner, and boom, I'm looking at him, I'm looking at the table, I'm like, wait, these are Mark Polton's books. I look up, and he's there, and I go, Mark, you're here. So, I hadn't backed it when it came out, but I did get it from him. And so I bought this Loose Threads from him. And again, this was, I bought this one Saturday. I got home and realized that he hadn't signed it. So I went back the next day to have him sign it. And I will tell you, when you're getting books that are crowdfunded, when they talk about the quality, I will tell you, this is a high quality book with a high gloss cover. Okay, that's the reason why I had him sign on the inside, because even if I put this in a bag, it's still over time going to wear off. Let me see here. Here, let me show you something. Okay, this is my Modern Masters by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Okay, and there's a signature, and you can see that it's slowly getting worn off. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take this to Baltimore this year and have him sign on the inside, so that way I still have it, because this signature is not going to last long. And I know it's not going to last long because I go through this book a lot. This is one of those books I would definitely advise anybody to get. It's a very good interview, and in the back of it, it says how it relates the story of how Moebius was in the DC editor's office, and the editor had a image of one of Jose's work in the background, and Moebius looks at it and goes, this artist, does he use models? And the editor goes, no, he doesn't. And he goes, the son of a bitch. So I tried for a while to refer to Jose when I'd see him, like, you son of a bitch, but didn't catch on. But hey, for me, it's one of those words, like, if you know that that's written print, and that someone that everybody idolizes is referring to you as a son of a bitch, you take that as a compliment. Another book that I got was this one, Cuda by Andy Smith. We've all heard him talking about. This is one of the things he was kicking around when he was wrapping up issue number 2 of First Man. He wasn't getting the sales that he wanted, and this is one of the IPs I was thinking about doing. And very soon before that, he had also shown one of the professionals his cartoony style. And I remember I was in that chat, and everybody in the chat pretty much blew up, like, wow, that's great. So when he went in Cordrath, I, like my others, were like, wow, he's going to do this? Part of it was because he made it sound like Cuda was going to be his next property, and it sounded really cool, because it was like you have a detective from the 70s who gets flung in modern day times. Well, that's going to make it entertaining, because he's not going to be politically correct at all, and it's very quickly established in this book. I hope that this is a property that Andy will eventually pursue, but if Cordrath's making the money, you go where the money is. But I do kind of hope that he does go back to this. I will be honest with you, I wasn't completely crazy with this. When I say that, what I mean is, here, let me see if I can find a page. Okay. Do you see the way they did it? Okay, there's no black holding line. Okay, which is okay. Okay, but honestly, I feel that if he had done that where the modern day where, like here, it's modern day. If you put the holding line, the gutter line around these panels, but yet this page, okay, which takes place in the past, it would make a lot more sense. None of the panels have gutter lines, so in some ways it's one of those where it's like, I think it has to do with us as fans. We've been programmed to expect that, and so not seeing that was a little bit, it was like, I don't want to say off-putting, but it set you off, that you're like, whoa, what? So your brain is readjusting to how he's doing it. So, but the story was good. I mean, this is a very good start for premise of the story, but I hope he does investigate more. When I was at one point, I took a break, and that's when I shot the video I posted on Saturday. I looked down while I was shooting the first version of the video, and I watched as this guy down in front of Andy Smith's table takes off his ball cap and he puts on this red knit cap with black saucers. And I was like, holy shit, Cecil's here. Well, Cecil's there, and he had Cash Grab with him. Well, it was getting towards the end of the day. Ethan had finally, the crowds kind of died down. Ethan was emotionally and physically tired from, it was very, let me back up. When I got there, and you know from the Saturday video, okay, Ethan was busy from the get-go, all the way till like 1:30, had a short break for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, and then it started up again. He really was busy nonstop until about 4 o'clock, 4:30. And at one point, I waited till the end to see all the bros get them signed stuff last. I was at Andy Smith's table, buying Cuda, having him sign the books, having him do the art correction to Hawkman, and I look up, and there's the way the rink is done, because it's a sports rink. It's a sports rink, and there's seats, stadium seats, all on either side. And I look over, and Ethan's no longer at his table, and he's gone up like 3-4 rows, well, maybe like 5 or 6 rows, and he's just sitting in one of the stadium seats. He's just sitting there. And at that moment, I looked up and I thought to myself, I'm like, I wonder what's going through his mind with his first con in 6 years, with all the attacks that he's gone through online and whatnot. He had to have had that sense of relief, that sense of wow. I mean, I guess it's hard for me to really like express it in words, because it's like I said, it was you can only imagine if you put yourself in his head. It was like, wow, this went so much better than I expected. I've been attacked, and to come here and expect someone to attack me, but there was no attacks. There was nothing but joy and passion from all these fans. And he's relayed so many stories about the kids, and the kids loving Cyberfrog, and he just had to have had one of those senses of I'm exhausted, but I have so much awe and in some ways maybe shock over how positive this experience has been. And all I can say is it was good to see him interacting with the fans. When I saw him all day Saturday until like towards the end of the day, okay, from the very first time I saw him, which was around 10:45, all the way through until at least 3 o'clock, he was nothing but smiles from ear to ear. And I mean a big smile, big smile from ear to ear. I know he had to have felt relieved of how well it went for him. But towards the end of the day, he actually went and was talking to some other artists. Cecil's manning his table, and Cecil, because Ethan sold so much, Cecil had I want to say about maybe like 3 feet at the end of the table, and he'd set out his cash grabs, and I was standing there. I was like, okay, give it to me. So I got cash grab. I got this one. I was not going to buy the Centipede one. No. I was not going to buy that one. So I got this one. I got Dirtworm Doug. I thought this one was better. This one here is basically, it's an entertaining basic story about how he basically handed Doug TenNapel his ass. But because I bought both, he gave me the books, and then he goes, hold on, he goes rifling through this one box, and he pulls out and goes, here you go. And he goes, it was the goodie bag. And he goes, this is the last, and he goes, yeah, here you go, this is the last one. So I got the whole goodie bag. Has the Anna poster, has the sticker, has the cards, it even has, you look here, it even has the slip file that you would put all the cards in. So I've got the whole thing. So that was, again, it was the last one. So this was kind of neat to get that. So Cecil, thank you. And for anybody who thinks about how Cecil is, his persona online, he actually is just a regular guy like the rest of us at the con. He was joking with everybody. He joked about how he's the script for issue number 2 has been written. I don't know if he said it in confidence or not, but he did indicate when the artwork would begin. The impression I got is going to be very, very soon. I do know when, but I'm not going to say. But he was sounded very positive, and then so it's like he did check. I was like, if you're offended by this one, you're really going to be offended by the next one. Which in some ways I'm like, Cecil, you just need to tell us a really good, entertaining story, perverted as it may be. We just need a really good story. You don't have to try to top yourself. You don't have to like up yourself each time. So, but that's really all I got. Now the last things I got were on the last day. The one guy, he had these in a book, in a box, and it was 3 for $5. So this is the movie adaptation of 2010. I opened it up and looked at it, and it's got Larry Hama did the artwork or layouts for it. So this one here, and oh, I remember what it was. He did the layouts, but Tom Palmer did the inks. And when you look at this book, let me pull it out real quick here. Okay. When you see the artwork of this, let me see here. Okay, so it was written by J.M. DeMatteis, layouts by Joe Barney and Larry Hama, finishes, inks, and coloring by Tom Palmer, and then, edited by Bob Babinski. Babinski, I think it is. Okay, and he's going to be at the Hershey Comic-Con. So I might have to take this with me. But as soon as you see the very first page, you can see that is all Tom Palmer. And anybody who's a fan of Star Wars, when Marvel had the original run with Walt Simonson and Ron Franz and Bob McLeod doing the artwork, you will see how the book was all Tom. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you take a look here. Okay, you can see, okay, that is all Tom Palmer. So this is definitely one of those books that I'm definitely going to be looking at a lot, just because I'm such a fan of Tom Palmer's. And then they had this one. Okay, they had Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I was kind of like, what the hell? I mean, both these books were just kind of like, we're both what the hell impulse buys. Because I was like, why not? I'm only spending $5 for 3 of them. So, and right off the bat, look at this. It's the cover. I'm like, but I was like, again, I'm only spending $5, so there's nothing to complain about. Plus, also, I open it up, and right there, look at that. Dave Cockrum's signature. I thought that was so cool. Even though it's falling apart on me, it's like, who cares? Who cares? That's really cool. So, again, this is another one where, gosh darn it, I hate it when they do this. Okay. Marv Wolfman did the script. Dave Cockrum and Claus Janson did the artwork. Marie Severinsen was the colorist. And, of course, Jim Shooter. So he was the editor. So again, hey, for less than $2. And then lastly, I got the one of the Bizarre Adventures when they were going in. Marvel was experimenting with with doing the magazines. Okay, so and this particular one, I just happened to grab this one, and it has George Perez artwork. It's early George Perez before he went detailed insane and drove himself insane along with the rest of us. But still, it's George Perez artwork. So, and then the last one I picked up, this was a book that would never really ever be on my radar. But Aaron Lopresti and Graham Nolan are always going round and round about this book. And they're always, who's better, Barry Windsor Smith or John Buscema when it comes to Conan? Well, I got this one. I was passing by a table, saw it, looked at it, flipped it around, okay, did not see anything saying what the cost was, and I was about to walk away, and the guy goes, hey, $15 and it's yours. And I looked at it. I said, how much is it? He goes, $15. And I said, okay. I said, I said, I might come around again. He goes, $10 and it's yours. You walk away with it now. And I was like, $10? Yeah, I'll take it. So I got this one. Okay. And so funny, as I showed it to Graham, and his response was, I bought it off the rack for $1 when it was available. And he still has it. And I said to him about how I would like to get this by the movie. The movie adaptation, the artwork was done by John Buscema. And that's when he said about how these books, it was actually done this size. So you can see the difference in size between these books. Okay, it's much smaller. So, but hey, just something to keep an eye on. If I can get it at a good nobody cares about price, I'll take it. So, but no, those are the books that I grabbed while I was at the show. Had a great time, and looking forward. This weekend is the Hershey Comic-Con in Grantville, Pennsylvania. I'll definitely be going to that one. Take a look if you're in the Pennsylvania area. Hit it up. So, and till then, remember, life is stressful. You just take it all one dot at a time.